Hello and welcome to the channel. This time we bring you a quick guide to Brittany, the beautiful region in the north of France, where we show you the places you should visit.
And if you like our video, do not forget to like it, subscribe and activate notifications so that you know when we upload a new video.
We move to the north of France, to the region of Brittany, and we show it to you in a video somewhat different from the usual, because when we arrived at our destination the video camera was not working, and the videos about this region, we will make them in the form of a quick guide, with the help of photographs and videos from the phone. Our first destination on our journey through Brittany is Malestroit, which is on the list of small villages with character in France. Malestroit has about 2,500 inhabitants and is situated on the banks of the river Ouse. Its silhouette is dominated by the belfry of the Church of St. Gilles, whose origins date back to the 12th century, although Malestroit's origins date back a century earlier. Situated on a meander of the river, on your visit to this small village, you will lose yourself in small squares and narrow streets, with centuries-old half-timbered houses, beautifully decorated with flowers by their inhabitants, leading to the Nantes-Brest Canal, where you can enjoy a boat trip. From Malestroit we head towards the coast, and soon arrive at Guérande, whose thick rampart surrounding the citadel makes it known as the Carcassonne of the West. Situated next to a 2,000-hectare salt marsh, where salt has been produced since Roman times, the town has preserved its medieval walled enclosure, which we can partly walk around, and which encloses a beautiful town which still retains its medieval charm, and whose centre is the Collegiate of Saint-Auban. From the Collegiate, the different streets open out onto small squares, surrounded by beautiful and colourful half-timbered houses. From Guerande we follow the coast and arrive in a short time in Vannes, which is somewhat larger than the previous towns we have visited and has a population of 50,000. The medieval old town is protected by ramparts dating from Roman times, which were reinforced and extended in the 14th century. The city has a beautiful town hall, the Gothic Cathedral of St. Pierre, built over an old Romanesque cathedral, and the Guérande Castle, today home to the Museum of History and Archaeology, although as in the rest of Brittany, the ideal way to get lost in its narrow streets with half-timbered houses, of which there are around 170, most of which are concentrated around the cathedral. From Vannes we return inland, although not far from the coast, to visit the beautiful village of Rochefort-en-Terre. This small village of about 700 inhabitants is deservedly on the list of the most beautiful villages in France. Its narrow, cobbled streets are lined with pretty medieval houses, beautifully decorated with flowers, which invite you to stroll around and open onto equally pretty squares. While enjoying a stroll through the streets, we can visit the Collegiate of Notre-Dame de la Tronquelle, built at the beginning of the 12th century, which stands out for its size within the small village, or the Castle of Rochefort and its ramparts, built in the 12th century and rebuilt in the 17th century. We leave the pretty village of Rochefort-en-Terre and head a little further inland, arriving at Josselin. Josselin, whose origins are documented in the 9th century, is situated on the banks of the river Ouse, whose waters reflect the silhouette of the towers of the imposing castle. This impressive fortress dates back to the 11th century, when the Viscount of Porthaut had it built and named it after his son Josselin, and the village has since grown up around the castle, which is well worth a visit both inside and in the gardens. After visiting the castle, you can stroll through its narrow streets surrounded by half-timbered houses, which will take you to the Basilica of Notre-Dame du Roncier, or to the curious Museum of Dolls and Toys, among other places. And if you want to enjoy the best views of Josselin, you can climb to the top of the bell tower of the Basilica, where you will have a breathtaking panoramic view of this beautiful village. We left Josselin and headed for the nearby village of Lizio, where we visited a small and enchanting place. Located very close to Lizio, a small village with granite houses beautifully adorned with flowers, we find the museum of the poet Ferrier, a truly unusual place. In this curious museum, you will find a magical universe, from the mind of the local artist Robert Coudray, who worked for 30 years to realize his dream, a world of fantasy and metal. Here you will find 70 sculptures made from recycled material, some of which are moved by the wind, while others come to life at the flick of a switch. Strolling through the outdoor garden, you will enjoy 15 strange towers, with animated sculptures and musical fountains, which will delight both children and adults. After the visit to the strange universe of the poet Ferrier, we head back to the coast and arrive in Pont-Aven, known as the City of Painters. This lovely Breton village is situated very close to the mouth of the Avon River, and its history is closely linked to the generations of painters who, from the 1860s onwards, came here to capture the beauty of the place, painters as important as Paul Gauguin. A visit to the small but beautiful river port is a must, and the watermills route, a route on footbridges, where you can see 15 old watermills, which took advantage of the natural dams that formed large blocks of granite, some famous, the Moulin du Grand Plougonvelin, transformed into a restaurant and undoubtedly the most photographed. From the charming village of Pont-Aven, we drive close to Locronan, which has about 800 inhabitants, and is on the list of the most beautiful villages in France. The history of the village begins in the 5th century, when a Celtic monastery was founded here. The village gradually grew around the monastery, and in the 15th to 17th centuries it became an important commercial centre, mainly dedicated to the production of canvas for the sails of ships. The cobbled streets open onto small squares, such as the church square where the Gothic church of St. Ronan with its beautiful stained glass windows is located, or the town hall square, surrounded by remarkably preserved stone houses, making it worthy of a place on the list of the most beautiful villages in France. After the visit to Locronan, an essential visit in Brittany, we go along the coast until we reach Plomodiern, a small village, where we find the chapel of Santa Marie du Ménachon very close by. This chapel is classified as a historical monument, and is located at the intersection of several roads that were once very busy. It was built in the 16th century, on the site of an old Romanesque chapel from the 14th century, and has its origins in the fairs that were held here up to 4 times a year. The chapel is accessed through a triumphal arch, and in the courtyard we find a beautiful Calvary, as well as the beautiful 17th century bell tower, and once inside the chapel, we will enjoy a beautiful altar with several beautifully restored altarpieces. Very close to this beautiful temple is Le Faou. Le Faou has about 1,900 inhabitants and was founded in the 11th century, and has a rich architectural heritage, with 23 houses protected and one declared a cultural heritage site. Divided in two by the Faou estuary, the silhouette of this small town is dominated by the silhouette of the Church of Saint Sauveur, classified as a historical monument and built between the 16th and 17th centuries. Strolling through the cobbled streets of Le Faou, both on one side and on the other, you will enjoy the beautiful houses, some of them half-timbered from the 16th century, built with granite and covered with slate, which will make you enjoy a peaceful stroll through this small town. Leaving Le Faou and heading north, we reach Landerneau, a slightly larger town than the previous ones, with 15,000 inhabitants and a beautiful medieval old town. Situated very close to the coast, at the end of the tidal route, we find the only inhabited bridge in Europe, the Pont de Rohan, a bridge with 6 stone arches built in the 16th century, replacing another wooden bridge from the 13th century. On the banks of the river, fortunate merchants built stately homes, which bear witness to the rich port activity derived from the export of linen and leather. Landerneau is very close to Brest and was relatively spared from the World War II bombing of the city, so we can enjoy its historic centre intact, wandering through cobbled streets surrounded by beautiful slate roof houses. Continuing our journey through Brittany, we leave Landerneau and head out to enjoy the breathtaking views of the Atlantic Ocean. We soon arrive at the Saint-Mathieu lighthouse, located very close to the village of Plougonvelin. This lighthouse, built in 1835, can be climbed to the top, provided you are prepared to climb 163 steps. It is located next to the ruins of the Abbey of Saint-Mathieu, built in the 11th century, and occupied by Benedictine monks until the French Revolution. One of its functions at that time was coastal surveillance, in the absence of a lighthouse, by keeping a fire constantly burning at the top of a tower. On our walk, we will find the monument dedicated to the sailors who died for France, and from its esplanade we will have an impressive view of the Atlantic Ocean, in whose waters the sailors to whom the monument is dedicated perished. After our walk by the sea, we head inland to Carnoët. On the outskirts of this village we find a unique place, known as the Valley of the Saints, which is like Easter Island but in the Breton way. Here you will find 200 monumental sculptures made of Breton granite, bearing the image of saints who have left their mark on Brittany. Some of the sculptures are up to 7 meters high, and the association that manages the monument intends to install around 1,000 sculptures here, so its history is still being written. And in this curious place, we end the first part of the guide to visit the region of Brittany.